The Z to Z Podcast.
Good morning, good evening, or good day, and welcome to the Z to Z Podcast, the home for Xbox achievement hunters and gamerscore junkies. I'm your host, Brandon Freeman. Thank you so much for listening. At Z to Z, we love gaming, and in particular, grabbing achievements and gaining gamerscore. We do stuff and stuff and stuff. Anyway, we talk about stuff. You know, if it's about achievements, we'll unlock it. You can find show notes for this show, as well as previous shows, on our website, z2z.com. This is episode 134. You can also contact us with questions and comments on Twitter, at Z2Z, Z-E-D-T-O-Z-E-D, over to forums, forum.z2z.com, or email us directly, contact@z2z.com. I'm joined by Proulx today. How are you doing, Proulx?
I'm doing fantastic as always. How are you doing?
I'm doing quite well. End of the month here. I'm getting excited for the new RTDL in August. Get a new list, a new set of games to tackle. So I'm really excited about that. We missed a week, so we got a bit of a backlog of games to talk about. So that's gonna be kind of fun. Did you enjoy your past couple of weeks here?
I did. Yeah. So we talked about it the week before last week, and we mentioned that we weren't able to record that week because my sister, she stopped by on her way. She lives in Florida now, and she had to go home to New York. And the next weekend, she texted me. She was coming back down home to Florida from New York, and it's like, "Hey, do you mind if we stop and spend the night?" And I'm like, "Oh, of course not." I'm not gonna say no. So we weren't able to record last week, but lots of gaming, certainly.
Yeah, it's I guess I didn't even consider that, like, she might be up there for a week, and because that's a long haul. Because she's got young kids, right? I can't imagine taking a car trip like that with young kids. That sounds terrible.
She wanted to do she wanted to do the whole thing in one go with 3 young boys, and it's like, why do you want to torture yourself?
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Have you ever taken, like, what's the longest car trip? Well, you did that. You just did that one recently out to Nebraska.
Yes.
That was pretty miserable.
The longest car trip I've ever done. Well, it's a funny story a little bit. My friend was graduating from college, and he was living in New York, and he was moving to California for a job. And we wanted to cross country road trip this. We literally wanted to go from sea to shining sea. So we went and visited his mom in New Hampshire. We went to the Atlantic.
Okay.
And the plan was to drive all the way to the Pacific. We had this all planned out. It was going to be awesome, right? So we make it through our first day of traveling. We get from New Hampshire to Indiana, where my friend had some family. And so we're in Indiana, where we leave for the day, but about an hour into our trip, I'm like, and we're driving his college beat up car.
Sure. Yeah.
And he had a standard transmission car, so a manual transmission car. So and I'd never drove one of those before.
You couldn't help, really.
So I'm like, and we're in the middle of nowhere. Literally, we're in Bumville, Indiana. So I'm like, well, let me do this. I think
Larry Bird's from there.
Yeah, probably. And I'm like, you know what? So let me try to drive with the transmission. I've never done it before, but I have used vehicles that have had that kind of transmission, just not cars. So it wasn't a huge adjustment for me. I had, 4-wheelers and dirt bikes and all sorts of things.
I'm thinking like you're a big rig trucker.
No. Or like, I used to ride motorcycles as well, and that, like all that sort of stuff. So I know how to make. Yeah.
That totally surprises me about you. Anyway.
But as soon as I get in the car, right, and we've already driven mostly halfway across the country. About 15 minutes into me driving, as we're like crossing the border from Indiana into Illinois, the car just dies.
Oh no! And it wasn't your fault.
And it wasn't my fault. It turns out there was a faulty transmission. But at the time, I'm like, dude, this is just not accelerating. I don't know what the heck's going on. Anyways, long story short, he was a poor college student, just got his first job out of college. We had no money. We had to leave the car in Illinois and like use credit to buy plane tickets to get to California. So my longest road trip was supposed to be from New Hampshire to California. It ended up being only New Hampshire to Illinois. So we got halfway there.
That is Hilarious. That's a great story.
Yeah.
So what ended up happening to the car? Did you have to go back and get it, or is it still?
He had to have it shipped from Illinois to California, which turned out to be way more than the car was worth. But at the time, again, like fresh out of college, you're starting to get income, but you're obviously up to your eyeballs in debt. Not the ideal situation. It definitely turned out to be a good story, but it was a frustrating situation to go through.
Yeah, no kidding. Since we moved out into Minnesota, like my extended family all lives out in Jersey, and that's where I was born. So we'd make trips out to Jersey, usually twice a year, once in the summer and once in the winter with the family. And so we'd, all pile into the old, van with the wood panel siding, and we'd take all the seats out and just lay sleeping bags in there. Like, I couldn't imagine doing that with my kids now, no seat belts, nothing like that. We're just laying in, essentially a moving box. And, it was great, like, as a kid, because I didn't have any responsibilities. But then, as you got older, and it was like, okay, hey, listen, you're 16 now, you're 17 now. It's about time, maybe you kind of help out on these 22-hour car trips. So that, because we don't want to spend the whole time in the car. We don't want to spend money to stay over anywhere. So it was straight shot for us. And then one time, I think I was 18. I was 18, and a bunch of my buddies, because my parents or my grandparents owned a house in Seaside Heights, where they filmed the show Jersey Shore. Like they literally had a house. No, like
show. Sorry.
That terrible.
Yes.
I mean, that's literally how those people talk. It is embarrassing.
Wait, so these are your people?
I mean, technically, yes.
You're a Jersey Shorean? Are you telling me, Fream?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, that explains a lot.
Yeah,
so that's why you go to the gym.
You see without my shirt on.
That's why you go to the gym so much. And okay, I got you. All right.
But like so we had this beach house. I mean, it was like a block off the beach, and so it was like, granted, it's not. I mean, we're talking white sands here, but it's a nice beach, and so but anybody who has any money, they would go to like Florida or South Carolina or Mexico or somewhere decent. Instead, we would get, we called them bennies, because they would come down from Brooklyn, New York, and they would just, so that was their vacation. And so, you didn't have the highest caliber of clientele who would visit. And that's why that show is like, they're like that. I mean, because it's very much the attitude in the area. But as a bunch of broke 18-year-old kids getting ready to, maybe we're 19, but anyway, because we were just kicking around in college. And when we made the trip from Minnesota, drove out there, me and 3 other buddies, we went overnight. We crashed at the house, and it was that was super fun, kind of being one of those independent on the road type things. And even while we were there, because I wasn't there with my parents, there was a lot of freedom. And so like there was like a rainy Sunday, and we're like, you know what, let's just drive up to Boston. Because my buddy went to school up in BC, and so it was like, we got a place we can crash. Let's just head up there for the day. It's rainy. No one wants to be at the beach. So let's just go. And so we just hop in the car and drive to Boston, because it's like, I got nowhere to be. It's summer. I mean, I don't have any work. I just have to get back before August. So, hey, let's just rock. So that was super fun. I remember stuff like that. But, I can't imagine now. Like, I'm trying to think the longest road trip I've taken with my kids now is like probably 2.5 hours to my mother-in-law's. And it's like, and that's like just long enough to be annoying. But I can't imagine being in the car. Well, but there's so many like electronics, and we always gauge the distance by how many movies it takes. Like, all right, this is gonna be 2 Pixar movies, guys. That's 2 90-minute movies. Like, just buckle up, enjoy the show, don't bother me.
Yeah, it was actually really funny. My sister texted me, was like, hey, can we, the first text message was, hey, can we crash there tonight on the way back through? And the second text message was, it would be amazing if you could go to Target and pick up a charger for the portable DVD player, because apparently hers had broke. That's very funny.
I hear that. How about we talk about some video games? What you got anything fun that you played this week? Why don't you pick one of those and regale me with tales about it?
Okay, I will. I'll pick one. I played a bunch of.
Well, we can just go back and forth. You give me one, I give you one.
Sure. I'm gonna pick Tacoma.
Tacoma.
No, sorry. No, I'm going to skip Tacoma. Sorry. I'm looking at my list and I looked at the wrong one. I'm going to pick Gone Home.
Gone Home. Oh, so you
Okay.
just had a Fulbright week.
Have you? Yes, apparently. Have you played Gone Home?
I have played Gone Home. I've completed Gone Home.
Okay, I was very misinformed about what Gone Home was. And the beginning of the game also misled me into thinking this was a creepy, scary, haunted house type of game.
It does do that, doesn't it?
Yeah. And no, it's not at all.
No.
It's just
Now-
you literally just go home and
Now I enjoyed the idea, like, because it was quite a creepy environment. Like I did, feel the tension there and stuff. But like I didn't. I'm trying to remember if I used a walkthrough or not. I think I did the spoiler free walkthrough where it was like, all right, don't forget to do this light switch, or don't forget to turn this on, or do like, so that I kind of missed out on the full on exploration part of it. Did you experience any of that, or what? How did you approach this game?
yeah, I used a guide the whole way through. So, which in hindsight wouldn't have mattered. Like you can go through a playthrough of that game super quick.
Oh yeah.
Because literally all you're doing is going into the house and walking around.
Right.
There's nothing more to the game other than that.
Nope.
But because I was expecting like a ghost around every corner and all that sort of stuff, I was like, oh man. And then so like the first time I beat it, it was just like the straight shot of go here, pick up this key, and then get to the attic, which is where
you went for the fast.
Well, it wasn't the fast one. The first one is. So the guide on TA, the first achievement it's really getting you to go for is to bring the duck.
Oh yeah, sure.
Into the attic, and you get a couple of miscellaneous ones on the way. And then the second playthrough you go for is your 1 minute playthrough. I don't know. I'm kind of conflicted about it. Once I slowed down and was just kind of. Especially the commentary stuff, I really enjoyed.
Commentary stuff was my favorite part.
Yeah, like
I
by
loved
far.
it. I loved it.
And so I don't know, it's weird. I wish that the achievements weren't so laser focused on speed runs and that sort of stuff. Because if they really want, like, other than the commentary stuff, which is great, all of the achievements are like beat the game without any of these modifiers on in less than 10 minutes, and it's like, okay, I mean, yeah. But if you want me to kind of, like, the commentary is a great vehicle for me to slow down and appreciate everything that you've done.
Right.
Don't focus so much on the other stuff. Focus on, like, make a whole bunch of achievements on the commentary things or, whatever. But that was by far my favorite part. I thought I didn't listen to every single little bit, but I listened to a good chunk of it. And I thought it was really interesting. And I thought that the game was, the world, that house was really well designed, and
yeah,
obviously they put a lot of thought into the story and the characters, even though you don't interact with any of them. I don't know. I think when I was first playing it, I thought, okay, this is fine. But towards the end, I was really intrigued with it. Turns out I liked it quite a bit.
Yeah, had I not known that there was no combat and there's no jump scares, like, I think just knowing that put me at ease, which helped, because otherwise, like, you're right, the tension there, I would have been freaking out all the time. And what it helped me to do was kind of, because I knew what I needed to do because of the walkthrough was kind of guiding me along. But I knew that I also wasn't, my first one, I was going for the full diary one. Mm-hmm, so, yeah. Like, I knew I wasn't restricted on time. I didn't have to, like, rush through anything. And so, like, I was able to take my time and just kind of absorb the environment that they created and kind of look at how they placed everything. And, some areas are in disarray, and some things are, or like if you kind of peek under something, maybe you find a wrapper that's all crumpled you can open. And, like, there's just all these tiny little details that they put into that world that was just so cool and so well thought out. And it was funny to, like, think back to the 90s when that took place, and what a different world it was. And, like, why wouldn't you have a cell phone? Oh yeah, because the cell phones, nobody had cell phones back then. And why did, and like all these things about the modern conveniences of what we have now, and, a VHS, like, just all these archaic the antiquated devices.
One of my favorite things one of my favorite commentary parts was about the fake Super Nintendo cartridges that they came up with.
Yeah.
And that was really cool. It's really interesting to hear that you had kind of a similar experiences that I did, that you thought the game was like more of a horror game. And I think I don't know why. I'm trying to wrap my brain around it now, but it's the image of the creepy house,
lightning,
and it's the text, the font that they chose. I don't think it has a reputation of being a creepy game, but and it's like the house is so dark, and I feel like they push it really hard, and then I don't know, maybe it's just to subvert expectation, but I think that's to the detriment of the game itself. Well, I think if you just walked into the house and nobody was there, and all the lights were already on, or you could turn, I don't know, it feels like it was trying not to trick you into thinking it, but maybe misdirect you into thinking it was like a sort of spooky horror game. I think that does the game a disservice, because there's so much more to explore there. You don't need that sort of misdirection,
Sure. Have you grown up in a house that has a basement?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's not necessarily.
I shouldn't say of course. Yes,
people
you're right.
down south don't have basements.
Yes.
But
yes,
that sensation, and it's always been the case of when you're the last one up coming from the basement, and you have to turn off the lights behind you. Like, tell me you don't pick up your pace getting up those stairs.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And it's like I was just down there. Like, I literally know there is nothing in the basement. But why is it that when I turn off the light, I feel like I better get out of the basement? Like, I got to get to the top of the stairs, because something's going to grab my foot. Something's going to, whatever. Like, and you start freaking yourself out for no reason. Like, your brain is so just conniving, and it knows just how to push your buttons. And so that's exactly what that house does. It's like, I honestly don't think they planned to. I think they were like, well, let's just have all the lights off, because nobody's there.
Yeah.
Right? So why would they keep the lights on? Nobody's home.
Yeah.
So it's natural. The lights would be off, and it helps you understand whether or not you've been in a room or not, because you didn't turn the lights on. Now, granted, the TV was on, I believe.
Yes, the TV and the near the kitchen was on. Yeah.
And I think that's maybe that's why a couple of those things kind of help to push the scariness, is because it was like, did somebody leave in a hurry? Like, they kind of did. But it kind of gets that feeling of like, this is weird. And then you got all like the weird, creepy secret passages and
yeah. It is weird. It's
this
just like,
house is a strange house.
It just feels, I don't know. To me, that stuff feels like you don't need it.
No, not necessarily.
Like, I didn't enjoy try to pretend that it's spooky. I just enjoyed the world. Like you said, like, they put a lot of detail into every little room and every nook and cranny. And then you get to explore that even further with the commentary stuff. I just thought that was really, really cool.
How hard was the 1 minute playthrough for you? How many times did that take?
I would say it took me 4, maybe 5 times.
That's kind of my boat too. Like, and I don't remember, less than 10, certainly more than 3. And I just remember, like, keep kind of just clipping on something, or you'd make it like down the hallway and you're like, nah, this is not right, man. I missed it, and just feel bad. And it's like, that's a tight timeline.
Yes, there's very little room for error. It's not impossible, certainly, but it's because it's such a small run, it's very tight.
Yeah. So you already let it slip about Tacoma. Why don't you go into that? Let's just go full on Fulbright.
Yeah, sure. So I played Tacoma as well.
So I haven't played this at all, but obviously I have access to it. What did you think?
It was okay. Honestly, and I talked about this on the show, but after playing through,
Gone Home?
Nope. Hold on. The other game I talked about not too long ago, The Station.
Oh, okay.
This takes place in kind of a similar scenario. I enjoyed The Station much, much more. Tacoma felt like a Station ripoff almost. It was okay. Again, it's another game that I just played, just for the quick and easy points for G-Task, really. But nothing wrong with Tacoma. Some clever space station design as well, but for the most part, it was just kind of go here, scan these people. I don't know if it was originally developed as a VR game, but it felt that way.
Sure.
Like literally, like stuff you do in the game is in VR. So it feels like it was, and it's very slow, kind of like those games are as well. So, but yeah, it was okay. Not much to talk about there, unlike Gone Home.
That's
Tacoma
interesting.
was kind of, yeah.
I felt like they did cooler things with Tacoma, just in some of the concepts, but didn't really do anything for you.
No, other than I like the sci-fi setting. Other than that, yeah, it was just a pretty standard walking sort of sim.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, in the vein of easy gamer score, I went ahead and played ACA Neo Geo World Heroes.
Oh boy!
Yet another fighting game that. So I happened to get into a party with Mathism, because this was the night we were going to play Crysis 2 together as a community, and then no one showed up. So that was kind of sad.
That sounds like you had a little bit of a crisis.
Ayo, kind of, yeah. So nobody showed up, and so I was like, well, bummer. Mathism was very ready to go, but you needed 6 people, so wasn't enough. So he and I were in a party for a while, and like he could keep hearing me as I was playing this, because I misread the walkthrough, and it said when you pick your character or whatever, and if you push forward and then X, Y, and I thought, oh, if you hit X, Y together, that's the combo for the grab. And so I played through all of high score mode and most of caravan mode using X, Y, and I was like, God, it just, the controls are just so awful in this. I'm thinking, well, it's a hamster game, so of course the controls are awful. Like, I should just know. And I was getting so frustrated on trying to get my the top score in caravan mode. I was like, screw this. Like, I need to mix it up. I'm gonna grab a different character and see what happens. And I was just messing around, and I'm hitting the Y button by itself. I'm like, oh, this guy's grab is just hitting the Y button. So that's weird. Okay, well, I like him, and I started playing as this guy. And I went back to a different dude. I'm like, oh, they're all just the Y button. How did I miss that? Like, oh, this is so easy now. And I just breezed through the rest of the game, like, no problem. That game is... Okay, I don't know which came first, but whoever ripped off the other one, those are Street Fighter 2 characters. So,
yeah, for sure.
So whether it was World Heroes that copied Street Fighter 2 or Street Fighter 2 copied World Heroes, there's a character, there's an M. Bison-looking character who's got robotic legs and arms and literally has the same moveset as Dalzim. He even shoots, he pulls his hand off and shoots a missile that when it hits you, it engulfs you in fire, exactly like the fireball in all those, where it's like that, it almost looks like a mummified voodoo doll.
Yep.
Falling backwards on fire. So there's like that. There's a character, the boxer character, Balrog. No, who's the boxer?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Is
right?
it Balrog?
I think it is.
Now, I say Balrog, and I think of a giant fire demon in Lord of the Rings. But
no.
Anyway,
it is Balrog. Yep.
There's a wrestler character just like him. There's this weird Rasputin, this weird monk who does, like, he reminds me of the Dalzim character as well, just with like, but his hands grow to ridiculous proportions, and his feet, he has this fighting aura about him. Anyway, and there's, the walkthrough recommends you play the Ryu type character, or Ryu, I guess is how it's pronounced. But they do a couple interesting things. Like the Ryu character has a double jump, which is kind of cool. Anyway, super easy. Just grab, throw, and because you can save state you grab, and in the middle of your animation, you just save state, and then you can do everything perfect and just be done with it.
Only in regular mode.
That's true.
Don't give. How many of these ACA games have you played, Fream?
That would be my 4th completion, okay. I think.
So you're still pretty low.
Yeah, I only put 3 on my random to-do list at a time, so I need to repopulate with whatever the next one is.
That's smart.
Yeah, I think I think Fatal Fury, Blues Journey are the 2 that are still on there, and then I'll add one more before the end of July here.
I'm convinced I'm convinced there's no way to have a smooth ACA experience. No matter, because of the way that, I don't know, there's several factors, but if you look on TA for the easiest ones, the ones that have the guides, you watch the videos, do this one move, never, ever, ever is it as easy as it sounds or as the people make it out to be. Oh, press over and this button and you'll win the whole game. Yeah. No, man, I had to play this fight like 8 times for 45 minutes is one fight to get this. Ugh.
Yeah, there was one that said, "Oh yeah, you just cheese it this way and it'll be easy," and it's like, yeah, that's bull. That didn't happen one bit.
Yeah, I've never had a positive ACA game. I in fact played an ACA game as well. I played the King of Fighters 2000, and I don't know, Freem. I can't tell you the difference between the one you played and the one I played. I don't know.
They very much are all the same.
I think the Neo Geo must have had 400 similar fighting games.
It's shocking how similar they all are.
Yeah.
And it's like, you got to imagine going into an arcade in the 80s and just seeing all these cabinets, and it was like, oh, have you played the new King of Fighters? Have you seen World of Heroes now? Fatal Fury? Have you? Oh man, it's so good. And I'm like, they literally are all the same.
Yeah.
But I guess at the time, and you could just see with that how amazing Mortal Kombat must have seemed when that came out in the early 90s. And you're just like, was that like 89? Or did that come out?
Mortal Kombat? I think that's all early 90s stuff.
But like when that came out and changed the fighting game genre with like the gore and the, just the fatalities and all that, and it was just like, oh my God, this is a new world of fighting games. And like, I get it, because looking at Hamster's catalog here, you see the same thing every single game.
I don't know. Hamster is quickly climbing. I didn't even want to say climbing. It's probably my most least liked developer at this point. I can't even. EA has nothing on the cash grabbiness of Hamster at this point. They slap these things together so fast. It's insane.
It is pretty crazy.
And they don't put any extra effort towards polishing anything. It's just it's all just the same thing. We have this really crappy emulator. Let's just slap it together, put these different modes on it, and all of these. It's just.
But if they bought the catalog, they're like, well, we might as well push them all out.
Yeah, but
they're not doing me any good sitting here.
Put a little effort into it. That's all I'm saying. Make it so it doesn't.
It's vintage.
Yeah. Whatever.
Speaking of Hamster and ACA, I went ahead and blew through the remaining letters I needed for the Gamertag challenge this month of Elroy OMJ and Mark B. I had Mark B pretty much done. So let me just do a quick run through of the games I just touched for one achievement. Laser Life, Yasai Ninja, Kill the Bad Guy, Jump Jet Rex. And I put a little more time into Oceanhorn trying to figure out where the hell I was, because there's like really no story to that game. I mean, there's like a loose story, but like I'm at a point now where like I don't have a clue where I'm supposed to go, and like nobody's telling me. There's no indicator of like, hey, by the way, you should go and do this island over here because there's a big exclamation point on it. Like I have no idea what I'm supposed to do right now, so I'm just kind of wandering the earth. Just whatever. Apparently there's a bad guy somewhere. I gotta find him. I don't know. Anyway, what else you been up to?
Well, fortunately and unfortunately, tonight I finished Back to the Future Special Edition or whatever it was. The Xbox One version of the Telltale game of Back to the Future.
Yeah.
I finished it tonight. I started a few nights ago, and it's one of my least favorite Telltale games. It's just so slow.
That's what I hear. Super slow.
I will say it runs at least 52 times better on Xbox One than it did on Xbox 360. But it's just slow, and it's just so much more involved, and you have to just. I don't know. I don't enjoy that game. Although, to be honest, the story, while the story is kind of, I would say, middle of the road, the fact that they got Christopher Lloyd back and the sound alike for Michael J. Fox that's cool stuff. That's really cool stuff. Christopher Lloyd is clearly the best voice actor on that game, and the rest of them all are like,
Thanks for coming.
Yeah. But it's cool. It's really kind of cool to see that, if you're a fan of Back to the Future, that part is really, really cool. But man, it's such a slog to get through that game. So
yeah, that's a bummer. Bummer. I went ahead and got the achievement I needed in Valley. I had mentioned it the last show we recorded. I needed to do the next level. Turns out there's a lot more combat in the next level, which was kind of fun. The combat up until that point was like shooting your little... It's almost like a Mega Blaster. In that game, you can either shoot things to give it life or suck life away from things. And so you're just aiming at trees and giving them life and putting leaves on the trees and stuff, trying to keep things as green as possible. And there's these like bugs floating around, big clouds like a swarm. And that was the extent of the combat. And I was like, oh boy, this is stupid. But this level here, they introduced these new dark creatures. And man, they're like, it's not hard at all. And to the best of my knowledge, they really can't hurt me. Or if they can, it doesn't do a lot of damage. But the fact they phase in and out of existence, so they're like these dark floating cloaks. And they come flying in, and you got to hit them 3 times, and then they like shake and explode. But you hit them 3 times, but they'll disappear and like they completely vanish. You can kind of see their silhouette if you're close to them. They distort like an invisibility cloak, which is kind of interesting. But they'll like when they move at you or through you. Every time I got this like panicky feeling, like, oh God, what's happening? The ghosts. Like, how am I gonna kill a ghost? It was super nerve-wracking. But I just been following a video guide for that to make sure I don't miss any of these crates and stuff. I could not imagine spending time actually walking around looking for these things. As cool and as expansive as the world is, it is very desolate and expansive. And so it's like, I would never, ever backtrack and wander as far as they make you go for some of these crates and stuff. So, now, one playthrough for me, thanks. But there's a couple of cool things in that. Anyway, so I finished the 7th level. I think there's 10 total to complete that game. So I'm kind of just chipping away a little bit at it. Trying to, spoiler alert for the month of September, Toadstyle Venom is the gamer tag for that month, and I'm going to totally use Valley for the V in that one. Might as well mention now, if you haven't finished your gamer tag challenge for the month of July, get those into the forums, forum.z2z.com, because April or August is coming around, and we will be doing What the Fug, WHTTFGG.
GG.
No, I missed an H.
GFGT.
There's 2 G's, 2 H's, 2 T's, an F, and a W. Anyway, it's confusing. But there's no V's. So Valley, unless Random To-Do List pops one up there, not coming up for me. So I did that one. I've got 2 games left to talk about, Prue. What do you got?
So another easy, quick game that I went through was Black the Fall.
Yes, I did that a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, what did you think?
It was fine.
Yeah.
It was...
Fine is exactly how I would describe it as well.
The puzzles, they were not challenging.
No.
I found them very straightforward, and like, so I didn't look at it and say like, oh boy, how do I crack this nut? It was more like, all right, well, I know what to do. Okay, fine, let's just do it. It was as weird. I don't even get the story. Like, the story was so obtuse as to, like, what exactly was going on, only to at the end when you kind of understood, like, oh, okay, so, yeah, there's this big fascist dictator, and you're trying to lead a revolt of these slaves against it, and it was like that culminated. It's like, okay, I guess that was what I was doing. And then you kind of circle back and you think of all that, like, what the hell, what was I doing on that bike?
Oh,
like,
so yeah.
Am I like powering something.
Yeah.
And then what's with those big gorilla-looking dudes? Like, what's their deal? These overseer dudes. Like, are they human? Are they monsters? What is that?
Yeah, it's
and
very...
then the secrets. Like when you went in and you snuck into the room where all the gorilla dudes are like watching TV and you like get in their way. Like, what the hell is this area? I don't know. It was just bizarre.
Yeah, it's a very stylistic 1984, clearly inspired sort of adventure where you start out as a human labor battery, like in the Matrix, and you just sit on. In fact, the last achievement I got, which is
that was the last one I did too. It was
it's
annoying.
A super annoying achievement, actually, where you have to cycle on this bike for 15 minutes.
Yeah, it's long,
and it's not like you hop on the bike and you just auto cycle. You actually have to actively press the button down, or use a piece of tape to press the button down. So that's kind of annoying. Like, why do you got to do that? Like, if you want me to do this, that's fine. I get it. Like, yeah, I learn about the futility of labor, but whatever, and like, okay, I get it. Just let me press the button and walk away. But no, of course, you have to actively be holding the button.
I turned on, I left it on the main TV and I pulled up Westworld on my computer and watched an episode of Westworld. I did that. I was like, this is stupid.
Yep, you could do that too.
That was exactly my last achievement as well. Like, well, they gave you the technically it's missable, but it's like, well, that's right at the beginning.
It's literally right at the beginning.
First thing you do.
Yeah. Yeah, I felt the same kind of way that you did. It's just kind of meh.
It would have been more interesting if like they did more to shape the world. I felt like each piece, like as you progressed through, you didn't understand the world any better until, like I said, the very end when you have that opportunity to get into that mech and it's like, oh, that's what I was doing. And it's like, so now you have to like think of all your experiences beforehand versus building a narrative as you go. And so I think, pulling back on a story that way, it didn't do anything for me. It was just too obtuse.
Yeah, the game is very simple. Like, there's not really cut scenes. There's not really, if I remember, there's not really even any text.
Nope.
To like give you context for your actions. It's basically just, oh, I'm in a dirty cramped elevator going down. I go to a station and now I have to pedal. So you just kind of pull in your context clues. And it was okay. It was fine for what it was. It's fine for a 2-hour experience or hour experience, however long it lasted. Right. But not much more than that.
Nope. Anything else you want to touch on?
No. You know what? I think that I played one other semi-interesting game, but a little tease here. You'll listen. Okay. You'll hear it on Review Zed on upcoming here on Wednesday. So.
Okay, delightful.
Yeah.
Let me do my very interesting game. There's a game that I just bought that I liked a lot, and it goes into, well, I'll announce it now. The month of August for our community challenge is going to be Metroidvanias. So get on your Metroidvanias. I'm sure there'll be lots of people asking, does this count? Does this count? Yeah, we'll work on it. The resident expert, Koosh Moose, will be your guide to the world of Metroidvanias, because Dead Cells is coming out in August. I'm so pumped for that. And because Elroy, OMJ, had 2 O's in it, and I did Ocean Horn, I was like, I need another O. And the beautiful sale came up and said, hey, Owlboy is like 30% off, 25% off, whatever. It's like $17. It's like, you know what? I saw that and it looked awesome. So pick that bad boy up. That is a Metroidvania, and you know what? That game is freaking cool. It is super interesting. The graphics remind me of like Chrono Trigger, that type of aesthetic. With the high degree of pixelation, but very well detailed character sprites. And you play an owl boy, a boy who has like an owl cloak to him. I don't think he's actually a real owl. I guess I don't know for sure. But this strange world is they have all these elevated platforms, and these owl people had this remarkable technology that did some really amazing things, like keeping all these land masses floating in the middle of nowhere. And your job was to keep an eye out for pirates. And so these pirates are flying around in their airships, causing havoc, and the main mechanic of the game, of course, there's flight. You're an owl, a kid, but you don't have any other real combat. You can spin and twist through, but that's more of kind of like a stun to most enemies, or it does a good job of if an enemy has armor on it, you can knock the armor off. But at that point, you really can't do anything to anyone else. And so the early mechanic that I have, and I know there are more down the road because you get additional companions, but you pick up companions in your talons and carry them around. And so your first companion has a pistol. And so you control now the flight and this guy you're carrying, Getty, with a pistol. And so that is how you combat. And you use him, as kind of a weighted block to solve puzzles. You use him as as obviously offensive attacking and things, and you traverse through these mini dungeons and things. So I made it through the first dungeon, and then leave the main hub, and the world kind of opens up a little bit. And man, I'm really interested so far. It's super fun. There was a couple of achievements early that are missable in the first town. I did one by accident, and the other one I missed the opportunity, so I have to go back. And of course, when I read it, the achievement guide by Koosh Moose told me that I missed it. So I'm sure he has a lot of credits in the solutions to that game because he jumped on it right away. But man, Owlboy is super, super fun, and I'm excited to continue to play that into August while I await Dead Cells to come out. So
it looks super cool. It definitely looks like something I would enjoy.
The controls are really, really good, nice and tight, and the mechanics are just top notch. They're super interesting. So yeah, I highly recommend it so far. And I've probably played 3 or 4 hours. I mean, I'm not even that deep into it, but 2 nights worth of gaming on that one. And then the final thing that we should talk about that I spent also two nights on, Boss 101. We briefly mentioned it, I think, last show, that it was the game of the month. Going to give it a shot. And, so I didn't get terribly far into it. How far did you go? Did you finish the thing?
Oh, yeah.
You finished it, okay.
In fact, it just happened that Mango and I played it for Review Zed just before the game was Game of the Month. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you completed it. I've only finished the first 4 boss rooms. So I've only opened up 4 doors, but I've played probably 8 bosses, just screwing around, endless boss modes and all this stuff. I went ahead and did all of the mini games just to get those out of the way because they're not fun. They're not great.
Yeah, it's actually really interesting because I think most people, I don't think most people actively save it for last. It's not something that people do right away. It's definitely the most mundane and frustrating and irritating part of the game, though. So, which one did you have the most struggles with?
So, I did not care for, I think Breakdown, the Arkanoid one, was probably the worst for me. And it wasn't because it was difficult. It was because for some reason the camera kept shaking. I think every time you hit it, the screen was it looked like it was vibrating, and that just really bothered me. And it was so compressed, it was wide on my TV. It just didn't do anything for me. It was annoying. Tank War was tough, but I actually like that kind of a mini game. That was kind of fun, and I was getting a little loosey-goosey with some of my bullets and stuff. I didn't realize that the more you shoot, the less points you get. And so, if you were more precise with your bullets, if you only took 1 or 2 missiles, then you wouldn't have to kill as many tanks, because I think every shot spends 10 points or something. Maybe it's even more than that.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
I literally had no idea that was even a thing.
Because I was spamming missiles because I was like, oh, God, I don't want to get hit by another one. And I just kept looking at my score dropping, and I'm like, oh, geez. So that's why I can't get up to 1,700 that easily. It's like I only got to kill 18 tanks. Why is it taking so long? And it's because of that. I kept just spamming. And then once I was like, okay, take your time, take your shots. And it went actually pretty quick at that point. I liked when like you kind of could, in the early games, you memorized it enough where you could just shoot at the wall and then the wall would disappear and you'd hit the tank right behind it. Those were always fun, where you anticipated the wall opening and just nailed it. Mm-hmm. That helped out quite a bit. And then I'm trying to remember what Mazard.
The Pac-Man one. Yeah, that was the easiest one. I don't think people generally have trouble with that one.
Yeah, that was pretty easy. I think it took me like 2 tries to get that one done.
Hey, good news, Fream.
What's that?
And I'm not sure if you're aware of this. The company that made Boss 101, Donley Time Foundation, is about to release a new game.
Zasmo!
Yeah, so if you love these mini games, you thought they were so well designed, or copied, stolen, and you want to play more, you could.
Is that what Zasmo is? Literally a collection of these mini games?
There's a Tank Wars game. There's a Breakdown game. There's a Mazard game, which I think is the maze one.
Yep.
And then there's a couple of other ones. Yeah.
Well, there's 4 mini games. What was the 4th that was no achievement for? Because I tried it.
Oh, I wasn't even aware that there was a 4th one.
I'm pretty sure there's a 4th one.
I thought it was like, just 3.
Maybe there is only 3. I felt like I was doing one other thing, and I looked at the achievement list, and I'm like, oh, there's no high score I need to do here. Now I need to, well, I don't need to play it. I probably should play it at this point. But like, look, I'm all about bullet hell shooters like this. They're fun, but I don't like how long it takes to kill anything with the stupid the machine gun. Like, I'm just doing machine guns for everything right now because I know you need to, with the infinite hat on, to get all those finish the fast ones or whatever the beat the fast score. So I'm just trying to do all those, and it just takes so long. It's like, this isn't fun. This is, I get the mechanic. You're watching me dodge. Give me a few, change it up a little bit, do something, break some pieces off at least. I don't know. So I just feel like I end up doing the same thing over and over and over. And, I'm not quite sure about upgrade paths at this point. Do we just max out the damage on the gun? Is that the best way to go? Do you unlock the debug mode? What makes sense? How should I approach getting my character to go better? The
first thing you need to upgrade is the bounty, which gives you more points to buy more things quicker. Then you'll want to do damage, then health, and then basically just down the list at that point. The earlier you get bounty, the better, because you're just going to get more and more points every time you play. Or gold, or I can't even remember the currency.
Yeah, whatever it is.
But yeah, you get to a point, probably so there's 31 levels in the game.
Yeah.
I would say about level 12 or 13, where you are basically powerful enough to beat the game, but you just kind of have to grind everything out at that point.
Sure. Is there ever a point where you can like beat the boss in a minute and a half, the 90 seconds? Like, can you take the time hat off because you can kill a guy that fast, or do you always need the time hat on because you want the infinite amount?
Just wear the time hat for the whole game until you beat the game, and then you can put one of the other hats on. I think it's just easier, honestly, that way. You don't even have to deal with it. I guess maybe you could. Technically, I never did. I only, once I beat the game and I got the time achievement, I switched hats because I didn't need that hat. But I don't know. For me, it was just easier to not even think about the time part. Then, depending on what you're going for, you can switch your hat accordingly. There's a lot of achievements, like specifically like the endless mode stuff. There's a lot of good stuff, good hats that you can use for that.
Sure. Or to like actually make it so you can do more damage or heal up.
Exactly.
I didn't even look at the trying to find where the boss's weak point is. I didn't realize that was a thing.
It doesn't. It doesn't. It really doesn't matter. The game is very simple, and from all accounts, it seems like it's going to be about 10 hours to complete it. Like it's really weird. Like a lot of games have a bit of variety in, personal experience or different play styles. Where are you going to land? Maybe you play, I don't know, pick a game, Minecraft. You could beat it in an hour, 10 hours, well, whatever. I don't even know what game we want to talk about. But Boss 101, it's so funny that everybody seems to land right around 10 hours for just to get everything done. So once you get really into it, like especially once you get to that mid-game grind, you'll understand the mechanics well enough that you'll start to chart out your own sort of thing. You'll be like, oh, okay, I'll do the time trial. I'll get the time achievement first, and then I'll switch and blah, blah, blah. And then I'll do endless mode. Then I'll do the side. You've already done the side ones, but so it's about 10 hours. I think that's kind of right where you're going to hit.
Sure. Well, we'll see. We'll see when I get there. I'm looking at the achievement distribution on it, and I'm right at the point where people just drop off. Yeah. They're like, all right, yep, we'll get those. We'll get the 9. 9 come out pretty easy, and then I'm done. There's a decent completion percentage on this, though. 18.5%. I mean, that's pretty high.
It's definitely it's worth it. It's not hard by any means. It's just stick with it.
So that was the game of the month for July. It was voted on by the community. If you want to vote for August's game, and I wish I could tell you what it was, even though we're running out of time here in July, we'll probably come up with something. You can head over to Discord, discord.io/Z2Z. There's a channel that's Game of the Month, and in there we had kicked around some ideas. There's probably some votes going on out there, and we'll figure something out that our community will focus on in the month of August. This was okay. I wish there was more nuance, like story, as I feel like it was just even in terms of talking strategy, it's just dodge the bullets, don't get killed. Like I don't know. I don't know what there is to actually say about this. So, Proulx, do you have anything else you wanna touch on this week? Anything that we didn't cover?
No, I think we got to everything that I wanted to touch on.
So a couple of just housekeeping things. There's going to be an announcement on TrueAchievements.com soon. Here we got a new contest brewing. It'll be after Gamescom. Brewing, yep. After Gamescom, because I know the TA crew is heading out that way. So they won't have any time to get down and dirty with what's coming up. So when they get back, there would likely be an announcement for what the next community event is. So if you're interested, keep your eyes out there. I pitched a new idea into the community forums. Planting and Bean Potter have been helping me. They've been enjoying the concept. I can't wait to hear from Rich and see what they think about it. But unfortunately, it's nothing I can do on the Zed side without some website know-how and graphical abilities. So it's probably can't come this way. Maybe I can find a way to do it old school, and so if it gets passed over by True Achievements, I could bring it to the Zed community. But it's fun. It's kind of a cool idea. So I will we'll see where that ends up going. Of course, random to-do list coming up. If you don't have a list, jump over to our forums, forum.z2z.com. That's right, yeah, z2z.com. Man, I am out of practice after missing a couple of weeks. You got anything you're doing? I mean, because the month's not over yet. Do you have any more RTDL achievements you're going for?
No, honestly, I gave up on this month, but I'm definitely looking forward to next month, and I want to get into it.
I've been keeping up with my Minesweeper, so hopefully on 31st I will get the marathon achievement for that one, where I touch, or the daily, or whatever the hell it is. You show up every day kind of thing. I've been trying to do the same time every day, at like 9 in the morning or 7 in the morning, making sure like that's my time. Let's get on. Let's do this. So keeping it consistent. I'm hoping time zones don't mess with me again. I'm going to be real cranky if that happens.
You don't want to pull a Fream, huh?
Yeah, because technically I didn't pull a Fream and I didn't give me the achievement. So this is a buggy one. Not looking forward to it. And I've been playing a lot of Fallout Shelter still, too.
Oh, I need to start it. I just need to
it takes forever, man.
bite the bullet and start it, man.
I'm feeling like I need to start spending money. Oh, speaking of money, I have prizes to give out to May's winners and June's winners. But we're still trying to sort out the finances and stuff. So I'll get to you. I promise. I've got your names written down. There'll be an announcement in the forum, and you'll get your prizes. And then, of course, by that time, we'll probably be paying out July's prizes as well. So that's a decent chunk of change. Oh yeah, and I figure at that point, we're back in. We're doing our thing. So the Patreon's going back up. So if you're still interested in helping out the show, please continue. If you get charged and you were like, oh, geez, I didn't think you still were going to be doing this, we can refund you. That's fine. If you accidentally forget, hopefully this show comes out before that gets pulled and you have an opportunity to make an adjustment if you need to. If not, we still would love your support. I know we had a bunch of people jump off, and that's cool. That happens, especially when you take a short little hiatus. But we're back. We're doing it. This is what we got, and we could certainly use your help to keep the lights on. So, anyway, I think that's about it, Proulx. Let's take off, huh? How's that sound?
Sounds good to me.
Fantastic. I want to thank everybody so much for listening and taking some time out of their day to give us an opportunity to bother you about achievements and whatnot. If you have anything you want to reach out to us, go ahead, send us an email, send us a message, private message, talk to us in Discord or whatever. We'd be happy to have a conversation. If it's interesting enough, we'll share it on the show. You can catch our website, z2z.com. That's where you find this show, the stream of the show. Otherwise, you can get it from any of your favorite podcast listening applications. Twitter at Z2Z, and our email contact at z2z.com. I want to thank everybody in our community, everyone who helped make this show possible. Proulx, thank you for being a great co-host. And so on behalf of Proulx and myself, Brandon, and to all of you achievement hunters and Gamerscore junkies out there, thank you so much for listening, and we'll catch you next episode.